Welcome back everyone to Blender and Unreal Engine becoming a dungeon prop artist. Now let's discuss, as I said, ambient occlusion. Now, global illumination in cycles will do the ambient occlusion for you. In other words, you can see here we've got some darkness. The lower we turn down our light and the more dark this will be, for instance. But sometimes you actually want some ambient occlusion, some contact shadows, things like that. So how do we actually sort that out? The other thing is as well with materials, obviously we can't give ambient occlusion to, let's say, this material over here. We can only do it actually within that material. So let's first of all set up the ambient occlusion for the material. So that's quite easy to do. All we do is we press Shift A to bring in a new node, and the one we're looking for is a color ramp. So color ramp. And then the next one, we need to join these both together. So we have our base color, we have our ambient occlusion, and somehow we have to join them together. So all I'm going to do is press Shift A, search. I'm going to look for Mix, RGB, and bring that in. I'm going to then change where it says Mix. I'm going to put that onto Overlay. So basically, I'm going to lay the color over the top of the ambient occlusion. So let's go to Overlay. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug my color from the ambient occlusion into my color ramp. And then I'm going to grab my, I'm just hoping I've got the right one. Yes, I've got the right one. And then I'm going to plug the color from the ambient occlusion into the bottom of this one, because I want to actually overlay the base color over the top of the ambient occlusion. So now I'm going to plug my color into my color over here. And then finally, I'm going to plug it in to my base color over here, like so. All right, so nothing's happened. But now you'll see that all of the dark spots on here, based around the normal, once I turn this up, you can see now I can actually get some ambient occlusion into my actual material. Now it's important that you turn it up as high as you want it. I don't want mine particularly that high or anything like that. I just want a few spots like so. Now we've discussed the ambient occlusion on the metal. We need to kind of put this on all of the metal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab both of these, press Ctrl C, and then I'm going to come to this one. I'm going to press Ctrl V, come to the next one, press Ctrl V, and now let's go and plug them in exactly the same way. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab all those, drag in, pull them out like so, and now I've got a little bit more to work with. Plug this one in, press the dot button to zoom in, turn up my ambient occlusion if I need to. You can see I can get a lot more detail on there. Not going to turn it up like that high. Something like that should be absolutely fine. All right, now let's come to our last one. Again, I'm going to drag them like so. Plug this in like so, and then plug this one in like so, and then finally into base color. And then let's have a look. Turn it up a little tiny bit, something like that. All right, so now we've discussed that. Now, you will notice that on the floor, we don't have any contact shadows. And the reason is because we don't actually have any ambient occlusion. So what we need to do is we need to come to our floor. And what we're going to do is we're going to press Shift A, search, and bring in a ambient occlusion. Now what we're going to do is we're going to bring in a color ramp. So search, color ramp, like so. And then we're also going to bring in a mix RGB again. So Shift A, search, mix, RGB, drop that in there. And now I'm just going to plug these in. So my AO goes in my back of my color ramp, and my color goes in the bottom of this mix RGB. And finally, let's plug it into the base color. And there you go. You can see not a lot happens. That's not what we want. But now you can see as I turn this up, we're actually getting those contact shadows that we wanted. Now, the color of this is obviously based around here, and I don't really want that, so I'm going to turn it down just a little bit darker, maybe something like that. And now you can see that we're actually getting some proper contact shadows. Now, they don't need to be that high or anything like that, because it is based on sunlight and things. You just want a little bit of contact shadow on the bottom of there. You can also mess around with it and make them a little bit harder edged, as you can see, bring it up a little bit, and now they look a little bit more realistic than what they looked before. All right, so that looks really nice. We're happy with that. So now we've got actually our ambient occlusion on our material. We have it on our floor, and now we can actually carry on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to as well make sure that my plane, so my material plane is in here, and I need another collection for my lighting. So new collection, well, let's come down and we'll call this lighting and camera. For when we actually come and bring in our camera. So camera, like so. Let's drag our sun into there, like so. And let's just put all these up now so we can see exactly what we're doing. All right, so now we should come back to our table and we can finally start getting in some materials. I think now what we should do while we're here is actually bring in our wood as well. That will make it much easier for us as we go along. So let's come to another cube. We'll make another cube. So Shift D, let's make another cube like so. Let's come to our materials. Let's minus this off. And then what we're going to do is, again, we'll open up our textures. And the one we're looking for now is wood. So we've got stylized wooden planks, wood like. So let's just have a look which one that one is. Let's have a look. I'm going to double click this one. Yeah, this is the wood that we're actually going to be using. And the other wood, let's have a look. I think the other wood is for the bookcases. Let's have a look. And let's open that. Yes, it is. It's for the bookcases. So we're going to come in and we're going to make this dungeon wood stylized plank wood. So I'm going to click on it and copy this, Control C, put it back down, new, double click it, Control V, like so. I'm going to go in as well and I'm going to grab both of these. So grabbing both of these, Control C, go back to it, Control V, and there we go, they're ready to rock and roll. And now let's press Control T and bring in that wood. So if I click up, I'm looking for wood, stylized plank, which is down here. So this one here, grab them all like so. And then what I'm going to do is bring them in. Now you can see as well that we've got two normals on here. We don't actually want that. So I'm just going to delete that one out of the way. And then what I'm going to do now is just grab all 5 of these, click the principle, and there we go. That is our actual wood. So I'm just looking to make sure that looks fine. I'm also going to check that normal just to make sure that I did get rid of the right one. Bring it up. Yes, and I did. So that's absolutely fine. We don't actually want it that lumpy or anything. Maybe a little bit more lumpy than this. Let's try 1.5 maybe. Yeah, maybe 1.5 is probably going to look a little bit better than what the other one did. And now finally we can go up and do our ambient occlusion. So exactly the same way as what we've been doing. Let's plug this one in here. Let's plug in our base color into the top of here. And finally then let's plug this into here like so. And let's see if we have some ambient occlusion in our wood, which we have over here, as you can see. If I turn that down to 0, so look, just a little bit, something like that. All right, so I'm happy with that, and I'm happy with the bottom shadow, so there we go. Right, now I've got all my materials in now. I can actually work from these to actually put them then on my actual table. So let's now go back to UV editing. So we're going to go to our UV editing. And the reason we're going to do that is because now we need to start actually unwrapping these. Now we've learned how to mark seams. I'm just going to come over to the left hand side and just zoom this out. This is basically where we unwrap things, where we actually put the materials on and things like that. So I also want to set this onto material mode. I don't actually want to set this onto texture mode or anything like that. The reason is that you can see perfectly well how the materials look. In fact, you can actually see it better how the materials look if you're not in the rendered mode. So let's come to all of our table. And the first thing I'm going to do, if I come over to my material and I click the little down arrow and we're looking for stylized planks, you'll see that they all come in looking like this. Kind of a bit of a mess. Now, let's see if we can actually unwrap these the easy way. So the first one I'm going to unwrap is all of these. So I'm going to come in, press the tab button. I'm going to grab all of these here. So all of these and any of the other metal parts, just these. And then what I want to do is I actually want to open up my unwrap options. So if I press U now, you will see that we have all of these options on here. Now, a simple unwrap on these, as you can see, if I unwrap them, they look a mess. And the reason they look a mess is because of the fact that we've not marked any seams on these whatsoever. So what we're going to do instead, first of all though, let's bring in the other material as well, because at the moment they're all wood and that's not looking too good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press the plus button. While I've got my table clicked, I'm going to go down and I'm going to look for the one that is, let's just have a quick look, this dark one here, which is iron dark. So let's come in, bring in iron dark, like so. And now I'm going to actually apply it to these parts here. So I'm going to come to my iron dark, press the tab button, click assign, and now you'll see it looks better already. Because it's metal, you can get away with a lot more. but we still don't want them looking this mess really. So let's sort those out. Instead of U and unwrap, let's go down and Smart UV project. It means Blender's basically going to try and unwrap these correctly. And there you go. You can see now that they've unwrapped really nicely. And if you zoom up to it, you can see they look perfect. All right, so now let's add in another metal. So we can see here that we're probably going to be using this metal here. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to come this time. So I'm going to grab one of these. I'm going to press the dot button to zoom in like so. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab each one of these now. So I'm going to grab this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. And I'm grabbing them in edge select just in case there's any seams on them. I know there's no seams on them, but it's just in case. I'm going to grab each of these like so. And then I'm going to come round and grab each of these. And it's just basically all the bolts that I want on there that I want a different material on. So let's grab each of these like so. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click plus. And again, I forgot what it was called. It was this one here. So Iron Alt. So let's come back. Down arrow, Iron Alt, tab, and let's assign it. So click assign. Now we've grabbed them all. Click U, Smart UV project. Okay. And there we go. There are all our bolts. So let's have a look now what they look like. And you can see they look really nice as well. Now we've done all of this table so far with Smart UV project, but there are times when you can't actually get away with that when things like wood grain and things like that. So we need to make sure that when we unwrap this wood that it actually looks good. All right, well, we'll discuss that on the next lesson. All right, everyone. So I hope you enjoyed that and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.